Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of GTFM, IGN show dedicated to all things Grand Theft Auto. I'm your host, Nick Limon, joined by, as always, Nick Maillet, and for the first time, Michael Higham.
Hey.
Michael, first time, how's it feel, man?
Feels good. First time I've been on the set. I'm really excited to be here. Kind of, because we got some serious things to talk about.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wish you were joining us for a better occasion, but sadly, Grand Theft Auto 6 has been delayed yet again from May 26, 2026 to November 19th, 2026. That is unfortunately over a year from now. Rockstar's official press release states, "Hi everyone, Grand Theft Auto 6 will now release on Thursday, November 19th, 2026. We are sorry for adding additional time to what we realize has been a long wait, but these extra months will allow us to finish the game with the level of polish you come to expect and deserve. We want to thank you again for your patience and support. While the wait is a little longer, we are incredibly excited for players to experience the sprawling state of Leonida and a return to modern-day Vice City. Sincerely, Rockstar Games." Folks, what do we think? Nick, let's start off with you.
Real quick, I like that they say like, "Hey," and then sincerely at the end of their letter.
Hi, everyone.
It's so
bad news.
You know.
All right, goodbye, everyone.
I'm gonna ruin your day until the next time, but it's a good thing. Like, it's good to delay a game. It's gonna be better. There's so much polish in these games. There's so much going on. You know, I was thinking like not too long ago, I would be surprised if the game actually came out on time, and I guess I was right once again. So.
What about you, Michael? What's your immediate react to this news?
My immediate reaction is disappointed, but not surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we'll get into Rockstar's history of delaying their games where they promise a release date, or they usually promise a release window, then be like, we've been knocked out of that window. Then they give you a definitive release date and then push it from there. So it's in their playbook. But it's one of those cases where when it comes, we'll play it, or I'll play it, and I wasn't like holding my breath out for it, and you know, the expectation of it coming during May, I'm like, all right, you say that, but alas, it happens once again, and there's a lot of implications across the industry for like this. GTA 6 is an event.
Potentially even an economy in general.
Exactly. Yeah, it is an economic event, really, at this point. And so a lot of other things shift around. A lot of other companies in the space rethink their release dates. You know, they talked about that on Next Gen Console Watch as well. But yeah, it's if anything, I just sit back and watch the rest of the world move along with this new release date, especially for us who work in the entertainment industry and pay attention to these sorts of things.
This is an unstoppable force that has no immovable object.
Yeah.
Things will move out of the way. And one thing that I appreciate about being here at IGN is everyone is very level-headed about this news because, as you said, I think we all called it from the three-point line years ago when this game was first even talked about as being a reality of like, yeah, it's going to be delayed multiple times. And there's no way it was coming out in this spring, even though we desperately wanted that to be true. I am in the same camp. I am overall disappointed, as everyone here is, as I'm sure the rest of you watching at home are. But ultimately, I think this is a good thing, and we can get into why that is, because what I don't want to happen is a repeat of what we saw with CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk 2077. You know, way back in 2013, we got that initial bullets teaser for Cyberpunk 2077 that said, infamously, it ended with the title card, it's coming when it's ready. Yeah. And as we saw, fast forward to 2020, it released not quite when it was ready, and it launched in such a poor state that it even was pulled from the PlayStation Store. So it is reassuring to me that the statement from Rockstar Games does state that they are taking this time to add an additional level of polish. But Nick, why do you think this is good news?
I mean, real quick, also the pressure must be tremendous at Rockstar. Has any piece of media been as hyped as GTA 6 outside of maybe Star Wars?
I don't think so. I don't think that there's anything quite as big as Grand Theft Auto that exists in popular culture to this day. And maybe Avengers Endgame, but I still think that if Avengers Endgame and GTA 6 came out on the same day, everyone's going to be hitting up Vice City. Yep. Everyone's going to be rolling up the streets of Vice City, I think.
Yeah. It's but I think it'll be good just because there's, like I was saying earlier, there's so much detail as we're seeing on screen right now. Like just the reflections in these mirrors and the bubbles coming up from beer. You can watch this. I think we have a video that's like 100 details from one of the trailers, and I'm sure there's 100 more we missed. It's going to take time. And like all the last two main Rockstar games, there's just, in GTA 5, when you walk with flip-flops, the flip-flops flip-flop,
I mean, it's kind of a meme at this point too, but you can extrapolate that level of verisimilitude all the way back to, GTA 3 with how NPCs would react to your behavior, the car wobble of picking up prostitutes, just small silly things that seem like they are Rockstar being silly. But even Red Dead Redemption 2's horse testicles that shrink and don't shrink when there's heat or cold, like it's silly. But that stuff is the small level of detail that Rockstar is known for and makes a Rockstar game a Rockstar game. Yeah, I always think of the infamous fake Miyamoto quote. What is it? A rush game is forever bad, but a delayed game is eventually good. Now, I don't know who actually said that, but fake Miyamoto was spitting with that one. I do 100% agree with that. Granted, there are stuff like Duke Nukem Forever, but I don't think GTA 6 is veering anywhere near that territory. But Michael, what do you think about the level of Rockstar polish and detail that I think their games are known for?
Yeah, it's the expectation that they push boundaries in ways you just don't see or expect from games, but that does take a lot of work. And when you come out with a game like for example, not to beat on Cyberpunk 2077 constantly, but that is an example of what, like, nobody wants to come out the gate where this thing is so hyped and then does not meet expectations. And it's in Rockstar's kind of DNA to make sure that it is at least a certain level of quality that they know for sure that they could put this out and shake the world. And that's, for better or worse, that is their reputation, and they kind of have to live up to it, especially with this is the most hyped Rockstar game period because of the elongated hype cycle and development cycle. And I love Red Dead Redemption 2. It's one of my favorite games of all time, but it does not have the cultural cachet as a GTA 6. So with the delay, that you get an extra layer of polish, and I don't think they would have lost money on it. I think the financial success of this is not going to be affected one way or the other, but I think Rockstar has like this internal reputation thing that as a brand has kind of made a point of pride that when they come out, it is as polished as possible. Is it going to be pristine and perfect? No, because the scale of these games are so incredibly large that there's bound to be something that doesn't work, or there's going to be glitches. That kind of comes with the territory of this kind of game, but at least it's not going to crash on you. You're not going to be falling through the world. Hopefully, it's those major things that I think they, as a studio, would not tolerate upon release. So I think that's what they're trying to get at. But Red Dead Redemption 2 wasn't perfect out the gate either, and that game was huge for the time. And so if you jump into this thinking you're going to get like perfect performance, no glitches, all that, that's kind of not how video games work. But the closer they get to that, I think that's the bar they're trying to hit.
You hit the nail on the head with expectations. Like, think of GTA 5 on PS3 comes out, it's third person. Couple years later, GTA 5 comes out on PS4. The entire game is now first person, which means every conversation you have in a car, the NPC is turning towards you, talking to you. They have to add all that in this game because people are going to play it and go, well, why can't I do this first person?
Yeah. And to clarify, you're talking about the first person mode that they added to the game with the next gen version of GTA 5, which I'll also add on that Red Dead Redemption 2 shipped with that first person mode integrated. So we do see this level of evolution coming. And Michael, you were talking a lot about just the sprawling open world that Rockstar Games is known for, whether it be modern day GTA or the Wild Wild West in something like Red Dead Redemption 2. But I was kind of extrapolating what you were talking about as just the single player experience. But we also have to remember the absolute behemoth that is GTA Online. Now, did you hear that? That's the sound of basically the entire time I took explaining that was Rockstar Games making its money back with people buying DLC and bull shark cards in GTA Online. So I think they can afford this delay a little bit longer. But that said, GTA Online, do we think it's going to be available day and date with GTA 6's release. For context, GTA Online, I believe, released 2 weeks after GTA 5's original launch on Xbox 360 and PS3. And it was very difficult to play because server issues, it was crashing constantly, and not to mention the 360 load times or 360 PS3 load times where you're like, all right, guys, I'm joining your game. 15 minutes later, all right, I think I'm in your game.
Mom says it's time to go to bed.
You didn't like crashing, waiting to get into Lamar's car every morning. Like,
do we think that this is going to, one, include GTA Online at launch, and two, will we have zero server issues at launch? And I know none of us are server experts here, but what can we extrapolate from this?
was there a delay with Red Dead Online?
Yeah, that Red Dead's online mode launched later as well. I don't know the exact time frame off the top of my head, but I do know that it came later after launch.
I could see them doing a couple weeks, like 2 weeks or so, just because it gives people time to play the game, experience the story, talk all about it, and then all of a sudden, oh, now there's this whole new thing you want to do, and you're going to play for 10 years.
Yeah, so it's part of just how developers roll out features. Now it's, you see it a lot in MMORPGs like Final Fantasy 14 I play, where they have like a patch. It's like, here's the new story content. Okay, 2 weeks later, now we have the high level raids that everyone is going to jump into and then grind out. And it would be smart for them to do the same too. I'm not expecting GTA Online, the new GTA Online, to come out anytime near the launch of the game itself. And this is going to be a huge game. People are going to be sinking hundreds of hours into it. Yeah. Picking apart the city. There's going to be so much to do that I'm not even going to be thinking about GTA Online during that period of time. And yeah, there would be no reason for them to do that, because of course GTA Online is going to exist in perpetuity. So it's not something they need to rush either.
Yeah, I mean, GTA 6 is nowhere near release, and IGN's already put out 99 details you might have missed from the trailer alone. And I can only imagine however much content we have planned when the game is actually playable and in our hands, and just the amount of time and also just the level of detail put in the game. I can't wait for people to experience that themselves, as am I. But we've talked a little bit about the Rockstar attention to detail, which also, I have an excellent video where I interviewed Richard Ledbetter from Digital Foundry, where we broke down really nitty-gritty, high-fidelity visual aspect of what we've seen in the GTA 6 trailer so far. We talk about the 99 details you might have missed, but let's talk a little bit about optimization. What do we think GTA 6 is going to be like at launch? Do we feel that this is going to be, we touched on it a little bit in terms of the online portion, but what about just from a playable experience? Nowadays with UE5 games launching, you have your inevitable shader compilation when you first load up the game for the first time, and depending on your rig, that's going to take whoever knows how long. And then when you're actually playing the game, you'll experience shader stutter, things of that nature, or just clipping through environments, things like that. Do we think GTA 6 is going to release in a polished state up front?
30 or 60 FPS.
Oh, dude. Okay.
It's got to run on a Series X.
Base PS5, it's going to be 30 FPS, and it's going to be like some sort of, what is it? The type of scaling in order to get to 1080p checkerboard, HD. So maybe like 1440p checkerboarding.
Yeah, something like that.
But 30 FPS at launch, unless you're on a Pro or Series X. I think.
That's kind of. I've existed in the PC hardware space for a long time, so I'm familiar with like the extent that a lot of games of this size are demanding. This game is going to be very demanding, but it also has to exist on multiple specs. We're not getting a PC version up front because that does take a lot of effort to scale the game in a way that makes sense for a wide range of hardware. But even just in the console space, Nick, you were mentioning earlier that this does have to run on an Xbox Series S and also Series X, which is more powerful. It's not as challenging. And then now you have a base PS5 and you have a PS5 Pro, and you want to come out of the gate with competent options for no matter which hardware spec you're using, because if you're going to put it on PS5, you want to make sure there's a good Pro mode where you can get something like maybe 60 FPS lower resolution, or you could actually get 4K with 30 FPS. Like, all those compromises have to be accounted for kind of out of the gate. And as time goes on, and as you know, games are getting more and more visually demanding, and you have things like UE5. This is not a UE5 game, of course, but I think you're starting to see these current gen consoles that came out in 2020 starting to show their age when you have a game like this. Now there are ways in which developers can, use optimization techniques to get the most out of it. We just got Ghost of Yotei on PS5. The base PS5 version of the game looks amazing, but that takes a lot of work. That takes a lot of time to get it to that point. So I imagine that this period is also going to be accounting for optimization. Anytime you see a big game get delayed, and if they want to say something about what they're doing with the game, it's almost usually, hey, we're taking the time to optimize it so it runs well on launch. So that is definitely going to be part of the process here with the longer wait and the delay. But yeah, it's, just because it's, these are consoles, they're very different from a development standpoint, and that does take effort.
100%. I mean, Rockstar is not shy from paying homage to a lot of their filmic inspirations, and I couldn't think of something that rips someone out of the immersion and the illusion of this sort of cinematic experience that they're doing than something that like shader stutter or any sort of like wobbliness where you're clipping through walls and stuff like that. So the extra time is much appreciated. It's going to be a movie, as they say.
It was a movie.
But you talked about it a little bit, and I'm curious, Nick, to hear your thoughts as well. A PC release. Rockstar Games have historically dropped the PC version of their games a year, 2 years later. Red Dead Redemption 2, I believe, was a year later after the PS4, Xbox One launch. Do we think that this delay will narrow the gap on that PC release, or do we think we're going to be at least a year out from, what is it, the November release date? November 2027 is roughly when we're going to get GTA 6 on PC. What do you think?
It would be really, really cool if it came on PC like that spring, but I have a feeling like the cynical part of me is like, well, Rockstar is going to release a definitive edition that's also on PC a year later.
And then the enhanced edition 5 years later.
On the PS7.
Yeah. You have another generation of consoles that are going to want upgrades there as well. So, but I think I don't think it's going to. I think the PC release is going to drift along with this because I'm sure that right now they're not even thinking about that right now. Like they want to make sure that when this comes to PS5 and Xbox Series consoles, that this is the best it can be at that release date, and then they'll worry about PC after that. Like they have, it's like you have so many moving parts. It's like, hey, we're just going to shelve this. So if you're waiting for this to come to PC, this delay is also going to affect how long you're going to wait. And I think that would be the right move. It's like, focus on the thing that you're going to release on day one. Because like I said, there's more that you have to account for than back when GTA 5 came out. Like you had an Xbox 360 or you had a PS3 and that's it. And those were challenging platforms to work with already because of the different architectures. There is a little bit more homogeneity between the architectures of these systems that kind of will sort of help the process of that. But, with these upgraded consoles too, it's like there's so many moving parts when it comes to this stuff. So, and again, like we said, Rockstar holding themselves to such a high standard, that's something that they'll have to work on.
And that'll give everyone at home, all you PC owners at home, time to save up for the 6090. But this delay has inevitably added a whole lot of work for a lot of people over at Rockstar Games. And, Rockstar Games infamously is known for its crunch culture, working people to the bone and long hours of the night. And they've also recently had some firings over at Rockstar Games related to or unrelated to their laborization efforts and their unionization efforts. Michael, can you tell us a little bit more about what's going on at Rockstar right now?
Yeah. I mean, just to preface this, that there might be some misconceptions that a delay will help ease a lot of the crunch. It's like, that's not how it works.
Sounds like more time to work.
Yeah, more time to work. Concerned. Yeah, with a project of this caliber and of this scale, it's not that you give yourself more time so that people can then not work overtime. It's like, no, now we have a stack of things that also need to get done on top of that. And historically, delays elongate crunch. So that's kind of just what you look at something like GTA 6 and Rockstar's development cycle, and you just kind of sigh and you just think about like how much more they're going to be grinding this out. And it's part of it, as we talked about the attention to detail being Rockstar's DNA. So are these like bad labor practices, quite frankly.
And are they intertwined?
Yeah, and are they intertwined? Yeah, because
do those horse testicles really need to shrink?
Yeah, and I mean, so a lot of people would be like, "Well, I wouldn't have noticed." But again, for them, that's just like a point of pride that kind of gets in the way of creating a work environment that is sustainable. And over the years of being in this space, people who work for these companies, and they have stories about this. I mean, back when I was in one of my old jobs, my old boss was one of the Rockstar spouses during the Red Dead Redemption 1's development cycle, and how intense that was on the family, where her husband was basically working 7 days a week, 12 to 15-hour days, especially as they got closer to release. So you delay a game, that extra development period, people are going to be, or like assumedly people are going to be subject to that. And I think with regard to the firings recently, it's like gross misconduct, but you can put two and two together, and the reports are saying that like it's them cracking down on people who are organizing from a union perspective, and and that would get in the way of the typical practices that they ask their developers to go through. So there is a side of this that is, you look at it from a consumer perspective and it's like, oh, we have to wait, but we'll get a more polished product. And there's also like, if you are familiar with the game development cycle, you realize like how dire this can be for a development team.
Yeah, I think I forget whose reporting it was. It may have been Jason Schreier, but a lot of what we know about Rockstar's crunch culture comes from that RDR1, RDR2, GTA 5 era under Dan Houser, and it was a lot referred to as something like sprints. Sprints when you're like near the finish line. It's, give it your all within the last 3 months of development. But when you have a delay like this, that sprint turns into a marathon yet again, and you've already used up all of your energy.
Yeah.
But Nick, what do you think? Like, with Dan Houser no longer at Rockstar Games, a lot of people might have, I guess maybe a lot of people unfamiliar with the game development space would assume that, oh, then the crunch culture is gone, right? Do you actually think that is the case? It doesn't seem that way according to Michael here.
No, old habits are hard to break. It's not just, he wasn't just the king of Rockstar. There were other people that would implement like, oh, this worked before, it will work again. You have to wonder a bit if, because this game is so hyped, the expectations are so vast for this being this multi-billion-dollar boat of money. Is this that thing that in art, when you just keep picking at it and you find imperfections, and eventually it's like, I have to get this out.
Yeah.
You have to wonder if that's happening a little bit there, where it's like, oh, we can just delay it again.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it too, where at this point I tell myself like, don't let don't let great get in the way of good. And so it's one of those cases where they're probably, like you said, inspecting as you go through the QA process. You notice more and more things, and then what they look as known shippables, or like, no, we need to do that. Like, that can also happen on a project, and to the point of like, the old leadership may be out, but the current leadership learned from that previous leadership. So it's those things are going to continue until someone really breaks the cycle, and unionization is a way to break that cycle. And so it's any game of this scale that gets delayed too, you can look back at how many reports from it's even like CD Projekt Red during Cyberpunk. There's a lot of horror stories there about the development cycle, and it's not surprising that Rockstar is still subject to this. So it's a tough one to think on, because there is genuine excitement for this game. Like, of course, like you said, it's an event. Like GTA 6, like we might get a Dodgers 3-peat before GTA 6 comes out, man. Like, that's crazy.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and but people are using this as a cultural touchstone, and it isn't even out.
And I'm sure, like you said, that weighs on the developers personally as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's like this vicious cycle of the more it gets hyped, the bigger it gets, the higher the expectations, the more labor intensive it gets, and the longer the development cycles go on, and the more damage that is possibly done to the people who work on it.
Well, I'm very curious to see the rest of that story unfold as it develops, because certainly we're going to hear more about it. But while we have you, if you're looking for something you don't have to wait a year for, and also want to give back, head over to Humble and grab 8 amazing games for just $14.99, including Total War Warhammer 3, Another Crab's Treasure, No More Heroes 3, Etrian Odyssey HD, Pharaoh, A New Age Synergy, Spin Hero, and Paleo Pines. All very good games, by the way. Every purchase supports No Kid Hungry, a nonprofit that provides meals to students in need across the U.S. Build the library, make an impact, and help end childhood hunger. Head on over to humblebundle.com and start playing today. But Nick, Michael, thank you all so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
It's always a treat when we get to talk about Grand Theft Auto, and hopefully we don't have to wait long before we talk about it again. Rockstar, give us another trailer, please. Be sure to check out some of our previous episodes of GTFM, where we break down every detail in the GTA 6 trailer, talk to Sean Fontino, who played Franklin in GTA 5, and so much more. Also, be sure to check out all of our weekly shows, Next Gen Console Watch, where, you guessed it, we talk about GTA 6 yet again, Game Scoop, Unlocked, Beyond, and Nintendo Voice Chat. But until then, thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you next time.
Woo. Wait, oh, I still got some more in there.
There's still more money.
There's always more money. Now we're out.